Welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast, where we talk about fitness, health, and anything to help you become the most optimal human beings. Let's dive into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
I've been better.
Yeah, well, and
Teaser
people
for later.
will find out why. So today we're doing some new stuff. We will be covering a study on mental fatigue. I'm actually pretty interested in this one. I'm always interested in how doing different things cognitively can affect your performance. And so we're going to talk about that today as a study. We have a new segment for you called The Wheel of Pain that we're going to be going over today. Or going over it. You're going to see, you're going to witness, you're going to hear about Wheel of Pain. Really awesome. And then we'll kind of round it out. That'll be about it for today. I don't want to spoil anything, but the Wheel of Pain is pretty awesome. So make sure you stick around
Undecided.
for that. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be
Let
awesome.
us know your feedback.
Yeah. Let us know your feedback on the Wheel of Pain for sure. But let's jump into this study. I'll go ahead and pull it up. So the name of the study is Mental Fatigue from Smartphone Use or Stroop Task Does Not Affect Bench Press Force, Velocity Profile, 1 Repetition Maximum, or Vertical Jump Performance. And so they kind of tell you everything in there. We could dive into it a little bit further, but really what they're looking at, they kind of had 3 different groups and everyone acted as their own control. Like they would, the control would, you would watch 30 minutes of a documentary, which I guess is just like not a very cognitively demanding task. And then the other 2 is they would have you do a 30-minute Stroop test. And to me, that's insane. And this is not the first time I've seen it in one of these mental fatigue tests for this stuff, but a Stroop test, if you're unfamiliar, it's that test where like you'll see a color or it'll say green, but the color will be red. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll say the word green. That's what the letters say, but the color of it would be red, and you have to either say the color or read the word, like depending on the instructions in the test. It is kind of like it's hard to do, right? Like it's just kind of hard to do because you have to pause. You just have to think a little bit more than like you would when you're reading. And it can be very cognitively demanding, but to do it for 30 minutes straight is insane to me. So that's how they did that's what a Stroop test is, and that's how they did it. And then they also had smartphone use, where they were having people basically look at social media, send text message. It seems like they were really trying to simulate like multitask usage of a phone. Probably not far off from what people actually do. And so those were the kind of the 3 different groups that they were testing in this study. And really what they found, just to get straight to it, and then I'd love to hear what you thought about it, was there wasn't a whole lot of effect in performance for these specific things. So bench press force velocity, 1 repetition maximum, vertical jump performance. It did not seem, even though they the participants said, hey, I'm not as motivated, or they did test that they were cognitively fatigued, it didn't really matter. It did not affect the performance overall of these very short acute bouts of exercise. And I'll hit on why I'm highlighting that the most right now. But what'd you think of this one, Joe?
Well, the fact that slightly poor design in the fact that they did 1 rep max Smith machine of a bench press. I don't think you could properly evaluate anything much at all on a Smith machine, especially for 1 rep max, because it's basically assisted. There's too much into it. We did, I'm pretty sure we did the other version of this, but on muscle endurance, or I don't think it was actually right endurance, but they've done this on muscle endurance and actual endurance, and the mental fatigue has been shown to affect those things. So when you think about mental fatigue and how it's going to affect something, with muscle endurance, you're doing something over and over again, so you're constantly engaged. With 1 rep max, it's so short and such a quick thing that like you don't really need to. It's not going to tax you mentally. You're just going to go in. You're going to do it. You might feel a little more fatigued, but I don't think it's going to affect you that much. So I think the choice of a 1 rep max Smith machine bench was a bit poor. If maybe they did something a bit more mentally demanding, like an actual back squat or deadlift, or like even like a 3 rep max, because it's not just a one-time thing, it's still an actual max, I think it would be interesting. But they didn't find any effect from it, which I think is also partially a good takeaway, because let's say you well, I won't get into takeaways yet, but the study itself, um, cool to look at because it has been done on endurance and muscle endurance, and the fact that they had smartphone and Stroop test was also cool because the Stroop test is pretty stressful or pretty like demanding mentally, but smartphones weren't far behind in how much it fatigued them, which is kind of a part of a key takeaway I think to want to highlight as well.
Yeah, and to your point, I would say like a Smith machine bench press versus like a one rep max like free weight bench press is like the difference in like boxing a sparring partner versus like hitting a punching bag. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? It's like when you're hitting a punching bag, that's more like the Smith machine. It's like the same every time, like you know what you're doing. But when you move to free weights, there's just more. There's more stability. Like it's a little bit more mentally demanding, and the weight could go any direction, right? And there's no you don't have to put much into it. That more like sparring somebody, right? They could do something else. There are other variables in there that aren't just hitting a bag. So I agree with you there. And I also agree with kind of what you're talking about. I wasn't super surprised at this one because it's such a short duration. You know what I'm saying? It's like a one rep max only takes a couple of seconds, and so I don't think that having a really mentally demanding task is going to affect it that much. I wasn't too surprised. And like you said, I have three other studies pulled up here that I'm going to share. This one is this one was done in 2021. Mental fatigue reduces training volume in resistance exercise, a crossover and randomized study. This one basically says it in the title mental fatigue. They did very similar stuff, cognitive demanding tasks, 30 minutes. And they found that overall training volume decreased. And then here's another one. This one is effect of mental fatigue on strength and endurance, a systematic review and meta-analysis. Analysis, so bigger and more bigger takeaways than the study that we're covering right now. This one very similar. Ultimately said it will affect strength endurance. And then lastly, um, we have mental fatigue from smartphone phone use reduces volume load in resistance training, a randomized single blind crossover study. This one was done in 2021. Same thing. So what we can take away, what I think the bigger, here are four different studies on mental fatigue. What the literature in my view is saying is that if it's super short acute duration, so if we're doing maybe a 100-meter sprint, or maybe we're doing a one rep max, or we're doing just a broad jump or vertical jump like that, a cognitively demanding task, or let's just say your day is it's not going to be that big of a deal because most of us have jobs that equate to our day that equate to mentally demanding tasks. And so but everything else it seems to affect. So like if you have anything strength endurance, the one I think that people need to pay more attention to is the ones that have to do with training volume. And that was the other study we did where if you did more mentally demanding tasks, it can lower how much volume you end up doing or wanting to do, especially if you're just supposed to, like even if our programming, if I was like, okay, on your last set, do as many reps as possible. It's like, well, if you're not that mentally fatigued, maybe you do 10. And then maybe if you are really mentally fatigued from the day, you do 6. And those things don't seem to matter that much, but I think they matter over time, like over a longer time period. And so I would say that mentally, if we look at the big picture, mentally demanding tasks and where your training is placed into the day is something that you should really think about, because if over time it's reducing your ability to do things, with muscular endurance, or it's reducing your overall training load and volume, then yeah, over time that's going to affect the one rep max, even if it doesn't affect it in a single session in these perfect conditions. Hopefully that makes sense. But, I think the longer term thing here is, and my takeaway from the first time we covered a study like this was try to place your training somewhere. And if you have really mentally fatiguing days, like let's get the training done first thing in the morning. Or if you know you're going to have a fatiguing day, like for me, if I were to do a bunch of meetings, podcasts all in one day, that'd be very mentally fatiguing for me. And so then to roll into a training session right after, I can do it, but it's a lot tougher. I would rather have trained first thing that morning, then do meetings and podcasts after that. So just those are things to think about. And I think that's what people should, my ultimate takeaway from the study, you have to look at all the literature here and see what it says. And what it's basically saying is that, yeah, it doesn't seem to affect super short duration things, but it can on a bigger scale when we're talking about volume and things like that.
Yeah, takeaways for me are if you are in a situation where your days are demanding, maybe you're going through a course or something, you're traveling and your days are mentally demanding, and some of the workouts it might be more muscle endurance focused or whatever you're doing, maybe you need to pivot to go into more of a heavy strength, straight up strength cycle, like even for a couple of weeks, because your mental side isn't going to affect it as much. And this also pairs well with a previous study we did on minimum effective dose, and that even just lifting, doing working up to a heavy one and then doing one like max out set or whatever of that one, then like or at like 75% of it, um, doing that will still you'll still be able to maintain or even improve your strength, and it's not going to take much out of it as much out of you to at least like get you through to that demanding period, those demanding couple of weeks that you might be going through. So I think it's a good takeaway in that regard, so that if you maybe you change a shift or something, that's a way to pivot and to not look at it as, oh man, I'm just so drained, I need to change my training a ton. You can still do, maybe the heavier straight strength training and then pick up as you go along. um, and also that the smartphone before a workout, if you're also feeling like during normal training that you're a bit taxed when you start your workout, think about how much you've been on your phone, especially like leading up to working out. You might just sit there and scroll through your phone, look at stuff, catching up on things, and it might actually be taking a toll mentally and like fatigue you before you go to work out, which could carry over. So if you're in that position, then maybe just limit the smartphone beforehand. And I guess the final thing is just an idea I had is if you are, usually people that are in very demanding situations, high mental capacity, they might not have a whole lot of time maybe for this, but it might be worth trying out to do some sort of like decompress mentally between whatever you do mentally and your workout. Like instead of a warm up, a crazy warm up, do maybe 10, 15 minutes of yoga, listen, like just kind of lay around or something to decompress before you go into your training session, because it could have payoff for when you actually go to train.
I'd actually love to see that study. And I think that's a phenomenal idea that you just mentioned because like what even if you just did some like box breathing or breathing exercise for 5 minutes
Yeah.
before you started, maybe that's just enough to maybe reduce anxiety, clear your head, focus on what we're about to do next. So yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. People should definitely try it because I'm also like we're talking about what to do in an optimal situation here and just trying to give everyone some science like, hey, in a perfect world, here's what you should do with your training. But we don't live in a perfect world. And sometimes we just have to get training done when we can get training done. And I'd rather get it done mentally fatigued than not do it at all. So I would never make that choice. Like, and it's the same thing I say about wearables. I'll never have a wearable be like, "Hey, your recovery score is too low. You're not working out today." Like, very rarely would I ever listen to that. I'm just like, "No, I'm going to go train today, no matter what." And the same thing here. Like, you're like, "I had a really cognitively demanding day. I don't think my performance will be adequate, so I think I will not work out today." Like, no, I'm going to train either way. I mean, that's how you build some mental resilience. But maybe we could just do some meditation or yoga or breathing or just sit down in silence for 5 minutes and stare at a wall before we hit the training session. And that'll be enough. But yeah, I think that's awesome. Um, but that's it for this one. Mental fatigue, smartphone use, Stroop test, all this stuff. I always think it's really cool to see how it affects the performance in different ways and capacities. And I give you 4 studies here if anyone wants to read more or go more in depth on any of it. But we are going to roll now into the Wheel of Pain. So we will flip over to that and enjoy the Wheel of Pain. All right, welcome to the Wheel of Pain. So Trampus, Joe, are you guys excited to get going here?
No, I don't
So
think.
how this came about, I bought this fun little wheel for my kids on Amazon. It's actually called Whirl of Fun. And what we do is after they do so many chores, they get to spin the wheel. A lot more fun for them. We put all sorts of fun stuff on the wheel, like whatever, get ice cream, those kind of things, all things kids like to do. They got to pick what we put on the wheel. So we put all these things on the wheel. They would do chores. And then when they got to a certain number of chores, they'd spin and get to do it. And then I was like, well, we should do something like that at Garage Gym Athlete. But instead of fun, we do pain. And as you can tell from Joe's expression and Trampus's expression, they are just so excited to be doing the Wheel of Pain today. So here it is, the Wheel of Pain. And if you're only listening right now, I'm going to read everything off. It's just a small wheel that you can spin. So we have on here row 2,000 meters, 2,000 meter for time, Murph practice, which is just Murph calisthenics. You pick, which means you can pick something on this wheel that is a workout. You have the kettlebell snatch test, which is pretty awful in and of itself. Quarter mile walking lunges. Pick someone else, which is fun. So if we draw Trampus and he spins, pick someone else, he could pick Joe. Yep. 500 meter row for time. 1,000 or 100 burpees for time. I wanted it 1,000, but
easy.
10-minute plank. So that's accumulate 10 minutes in the plank, or 1,000
minute workout for me.
An hour.
Or 1,000 double unders for time. So which one's your least favorite on here?
The 2,000 meter row, or
I think the big row and the plank.
Yeah, that row. I mean, I feel like if one of us gets that, I feel like if I get it, we're just going to re-record this segment.
It's too bad you can't change the size of the slivers. Like that would be like the $1 million sliver on a
right,
whatever Wheel of Fortune.
All right, so what we're going to do, again, we have people watching, we have people listening. So I have our names right here. Trampus Joe. My name is officially here. We're all here. I'm going to crumple these up. I'm going to put them in this hat. And then we're going to pick, or I'll pick. And then I get a spin too because it's virtual. So but I promise you, my name is going in the hat. So anyway, we're going to pick and then we'll go from there. So if you are just listening, what we're going to do also is whoever gets picked and whatever the workout is, they have to film it. And we're going to have that on the show as well. So we'll get started. So I know you guys think I'm going to cheat this to where I'm not in it, but I'm first. I'm going to crumple that up.
I mean, we already know that when we get you pick someone else with Trampus, and I know who we're picking. So just because for
Jerred's in the hat.
This up.
I don't know that Jerred's off limits.
Joe's in the hat.
Do this.
Yeah.
And Trampus is in the hat. So I guess I'll just close my eyes, shake them around.
Yeah.
Oh, look,
this is also originally supposed to be.
Jerred just fell out.
Yeah, right. Oh no.
All right, here we go. Close my eyes, picking, and it is Trampus.
No way.
Yes. Yes. All right. Trampus, you get Wheel of Pain first. So it starts always on 2,000 meter row. Do you want me to do a light spin, a medium spin, a hard spin? What would you do if you were actually spinning it right now?
I don't know.
A 2-pick spin?
Please,
a 2-notch spin?
Whichever one makes it land on, pick someone else, I guess, is where I want you to do. But just give it a good medium.
If you pick someone else. Okay, here we go. Here goes the spin.
Oh,
you got to pick someone else.
Oh,
you got to pick someone else.
I'm
who are you picking?
I'm gonna go with Joseph.
Oh, son of a bitch.
All right, Joe. Hey, double or nothing. Like you could get picked someone else too, and then just throw it back to Trampus, of course. All right. So starting on 2,000 meter row, you want a medium spin.
That same spin that you just had.
All right, same spin. Here we go. Joe's.
At least the ones that border that aren't bad.
All right, 100
I'm gonna head
burpees
out.
per time. Hey, that one's not too bad. It could be way worse.
That's not. It could be way worse. Like pick someone else.
Burpees are terrible, and I gotta do this.
Trampus, you're like unlucky and luckiness in the same batch. There
It's
was
incredible.
very impressive.
Incredible.
That was awesome. All right, so Joe has 100 burpees for time, so he's going to film that. We will show you guys him doing 100 burpees for time. And that's it. Welcome to the first segment of the Wheel of Pain. All right, and here we are, the day after the Wheel of Pain has been spun. Joe has completed his task, his mission, his mandate of 100 burpees for time. He filmed it. He was nice enough to film it. I mean, you still look pissed off, just like a little bit. It was good for you.
Whatever like 2 hours ago.
It was so good for you, though. It was like you're gonna live longer from that. The Wheel of Pain, a little bit longer. I think every burpee gives you a second of life. That's what I've heard. I don't know what scientific study that comes from, but I've heard it's been said.
Gonna be dead soon.
Yeah. All right. So Wheel of Pain. Here we are. Next day, Joe. Let's see those burpees, man. Let's pull it up. And if you're just listening, you're not gonna be able to see, but we'll keep it entertaining.
Yeah, sure.
It starts off pretty strong because my first rep, I'm not completely off balance because
wait, what was that?
I think maybe we should
wait, go back.
Why you gotta go backwards?
Go back to your first rep. What did you do?
So
he forgot that he had to jump. That's what he did.
Yeah, I was like, it's clearly I'm just out of practice with my burpees because I'm just completely off balance. I almost fall forward. The shoes that I'm wearing, brand new running shoes, and they're much.
I was about to
thicker,
say that's the shoe
they're much
problem.
thicker sole than I'm used to. So I'm wearing them. I'm like, holy crap, these things are so thick. Like I'm just not used to wearing that. So that's why like my weight was completely shifted forward, and I actually end up. I find a way to correct it. So now I'm just speeding up the video because of.
And if you're only listening, what happened was Joe did a burpee, got like halfway up, and then kind of rocked forward. And then would you get back down? Like
I had to catch myself with my hands because
I was falling forward because he has these new shoes that are put him way off balance.
Yeah.
So what's the correction? What'd you do to correct it?
Oh, I guess I don't need to do this.
I mean, they're looking like burpees. I mean,
they're looking like burpees. Yeah, I had to take my
shoes
off.
There you go. Took shoes off.
After
I would have taken my shoes off after one rep.
And then if you notice that first one afterwards, I almost fall backwards because it's just like
you don't have that overcorrection.
That overcorrection. So yeah.
And here I was thinking there'd be no entertainment in watching you do burpees. It's
I had to track down my chalkboard back here to have my 10 slashes because there was no way I would be able to count to 100. I'd probably like 70, 80. What am I at? And I'd probably round up and then I get called out for it and I have to do it again. So,
well, what was your strategy here? Are you doing? You just did 100 burpees for time, or did you do?
I was doing them in 10s. So
okay.
I mean, I did 10 and then I would just stop to erase a mark. And then I really wasn't breaking it in between at all. Like we'll see in a minute when I get to this is the 40 set or the end of 40 once I stop pussyfooting around.
It's pretty solid. How would you rate 100 burpees for
time? That was about
it on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being
not
like
had to change the song. That's important.
So scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate it?
A solid 8, 8.5.
Oh wow, you really hate burpees, huh?
Yeah, I really do. And like, it's not, if it was just like, so for time, because there's like, I needed to get them done like kind of quickly, then that's kind of the hard part. If it was just like, yeah, you have an hour to do 100 burpees, like, oh, sweet. So yeah, the intensity definitely hurts it. And so that's a halfway point.
Yeah. With what is it? The ruck workout. Doesn't it have just like 100 burpees at the end of it? Or how many does it have? It's like, can't remember the exact.
No, it's like, yeah, I think it's like 60, 70, 80, 100. And then you go for your ruck, right?
Yeah. Cause the buy-in, I think just has 100 burpees like just chilling for you right at the end of the ruck. And I'm always like, my goodness, this is awful.
So I think the first half I was like, okay, let's do 10s somewhat quick, and then I'll erase it, and then I'll do a rest. And then after 50 or so, it's like, well, I'm not recovering that time. So I slowed down my seconds per burpee pace. And then I think this is, there's the knees. After 70,
yeah.
I was going to the knees every
It's
couple
getting
of reps.
brutal.
Because my really, like, conditioning, that was getting tired, but really my shoulders were getting tired. I wasn't really used to doing that level of just like all the pushing and stuff. And yesterday I did part of the EMOM was push-ups. I'm a part of that. So I was feeling those from yesterday. So yeah, the push-up to try and get myself high enough, especially because my hips are pretty tight anyway. That's when the knees came in after about 70.
You're looking solid, man. I also like the baby swing in the garage.
Yeah.
Does that come in handy?
I wish, yeah. If I should have tested it out. I mean, it's on like actual like ratchet strap, so it could probably hold me maybe. But it came in handy with the kid. Now that he comes out,
not helpful for you, but helpful for
not helpful for me. Yeah.
All right, man. So you finished this in like 9 minutes and change?
8:40 something.
8:40. Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
This is my finish. I think this is the last two. Real quick.
Awesome. Hey, you're not laying down. the look in the camera.
Just a quick mean mug for everyone. That's just how.
Oh, it's perfect.
That should be the cover of the whatever this podcast is. That needs to be it, Joe.
I might have to put it in somehow.
I was thinking for future Wheel of Pain episodes, should we like pick new exercises every time, or just kind of leave them the same? Or should
you got to leave them the same?
Yeah, like a community vote.
If anything, have like a bench roster so that once one is done, you erase it and then fill it in with the next one up.
Oh, so like 100 burpees per time is gone now?
Yeah, I took one for the team. You're welcome. I think that's the hardest one on there. The 2,000 meter row is up there as well.
2,000 meter row. I mean, you can sandbag a 2,000 meter row and it's whatever. But if you're actually doing 2,000 meter row for time, it's the worst thing on the planet.
And I told Liz this because she was like, because I said, like, at least I didn't get the hardest one. She's like, well, I thought 100 burpees would be the hardest. She was like, yeah, it kind of is. But at least with burpees, I can actually get into a rest position and take a couple of seconds rest. With the rowing, there is no rest. You have to keep on going.
No, that's
death. I can lower my pace some, but still there is no break. There is no rest.
Well, what an exciting first Wheel of Pain here.
Yeah,
I
controversy.
Watched the video of like the spinning portion of this. I rewatched it after we were done, and I didn't realize I called exactly what was going to happen before it happened. I was going through it. I don't know if you guys remember yesterday, and I was announcing what they all were, and I was like, oh yeah, and on here is whatever, like pick someone else. And I was like, so if I pick Trampus, then he can pick Joe. I like called exactly what was going to happen, and that was not planned, like not 100% not planned. So that was.
So y'all have this scripted. This is like some conspiracy now. I think I have going on.
Yikes!
That was pretty crazy.
Job, Jerred.
Yeah, awesome times. Thanks for playing, Joe. Thanks for being a good sport about it. And till next time, we'll do Wheel of Pain again. But that's it for this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed the Wheel of Pain and the study today. I know that, it was very enjoyable for me. I don't know if you liked it, Joe, the new segment. What if you got picked every single time?
I've learned who to trust and who my real friends are.
This is gonna
who my real friend isn't.
Crush the team morale here.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do this once a quarter, or maybe once a year. Who knows? But yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Let us know if you have any suggestions for what should go on the wheel or anything else you want to see. Give us some feedback on the new segment and things that we're trying out. But that's all we have for this one. Do know that we are rolling into Fit Week, or it's not Fit Week right now. It's going to be Fit Week. Where are we at? Where are we at in the cycle?
When this publishes, it will be deload week, which is week 11 of 12.
Okay, so when this publishes, we will be in deload, and then we will roll into Fit Week. And so Fit Week is our testing week. Then it will be a new cycle. So we're very close to a new cycle here at Garage Gym Athlete. So if you want to be a part of our training, where we're taking a lot of this science and things that we're learning and putting into programming, then go to garagegymathlete.com, sign up for a free trial. We'd love to have you in the community. It's also where you can suggest what goes on the Wheel of Pain and what other things that we should do. But we'd love to have you in there and join us for a new cycle. That's it for this one. Remember, if you don't kill comfort, comfort will kill you.